So let me just first start by explaining the data set that we are going to use for this particular demo. This example is an example of demand forecasting for an online retailer. This is very close to a real customer use case. So here what we're trying to forecast is daily number of orders, right, which we call as number of carts on daily basis for one of the largest retail online grocery customers in this region. So what we have is in this column, in the third column, what we have is the date. So all these are historical numbers, historical dates. So we have the carts, right? So this is what we want to forecast, right? So carts is what we want to forecast. And I already talked about the predictors or the influencers, right? So these are the things that we need to consider because it's not just the historical trend or the seasonality, right, that actually impacts, right, your forecast. There are many other factors. So if we can bring these factors in, we can actually forecast with much higher accuracy, right? So in this particular example, right, I'm sure you can imagine. So if you want to forecast the number of orders, right, the factors that will influence the number of orders are things like, how much did you spend on your marketing activities, right? So here we have broken it down into two, digital spend and mass media spend. So mass media spend is basically TV, radio, and print. Digital spend is, right, your socials and things like that. So we have historical data for these two things separately. And in this particular use case, right, so we are looking at online retailer. So they run all kinds of promotions, right? The cashback sort of promotions and things like that. And all of that information is also captured, right? So with that information, again, we can forecast more accurately. Discounts, right? So whenever they give more discounts, right? So that is also captured, right? So not just we can even take competitive information as well, right? So here in this example, what we've taken is a competitiveness index with a competitor. So here the competitor is Amazon. So we have the competitiveness index with Amazon, right? So many factors regarding marketing, regarding discounting, and even about the competitor is here. And there's a label for the city. So in this particular example, in this particular use case, we want to have a city-wise forecast. So as a result of it, this data is at the city level. So we have a city level tag as well. So this is the structure of data. So let me just move into the next screen. Guys, my screen is frozen, so let me just unshare it and share it again. Okay, right. So let's just as a summary, right? So we have what we want to forecast is the number of cards, right? And we said that we want to do it at the city level, right? So so you can probably see. Sorry, the font is a little bit small because there are 15 forecast items here. So the first item is cards for Ahmedabad. The second is cards for Bangalore, so on and so forth. And there are 14 cities here. Um, and I'm going to do a custom forecast for each of these cities, right? And getting a forecast is very, very easy, right? So let me just say cards for Bangalore, right? So the second row here, right? So let's say I want to build a forecast for that, right? So the happy part is basically you just select this, right? That particular forecast that you want to build, and just hit the train button, right? So the moment you hit a train button, right? We call the algorithm, and algorithm will do all the magic that a data scientist will do, right? And we will basically give you the best trained algorithm to forecast this. Now, what I mean by training is this is the process where we identify the seasonalities, we identify the trends, we identify the correlations between other variables, right? So that is the training process, right? So training process happens before forecasting. So, so if you just want to train, all you have to do is just click on that and just hit the train button. Now, if you are a little bit of an advanced user who likes to play with stuff, you can go into this expert options, right? So here, you can basically play with some of the predictors. You can include them, you can exclude them, you can set the direction if you want to, because for certain predictors, right? So let's think a predictor like marketing spend, right? We know for sure, right, the correlation between the costs and the marketing spend is positive, right? That is, when the marketing spend goes up, the number of costs should go up. So when we know that kind of definitive information, right, we can tell the system, help the system by inputting that information. But right, if we don't know for sure, we can just leave it undefined. So you can include things, you can exclude things. There are some things that we can do. You can just this is consider holiday as a predictor, right? So that is this option. So if I click on that, we will automatically consider holidays as predictors, because in the backend we have a repository of holidays for different countries. So here, right? So as I said, forecasting, there's no single algorithm for forecasting, right? So it's not like you can have one set of rules that will work for every kind of data, right? So here, right, you can actually just select some of the algorithms. So I'll just talk about some of the algorithm classes, right? So we have under machine learning and deep learning class, right? So we have lots of machine learning algorithms, right? I think there are about 500 different machine learning algorithms that we're using. Some of the tree-based algorithms like random forest to XGBoost, right? And there are some neural networks as well, right? So that is under deep learning algorithm class. there are some third-party algorithms that we have used and improved, right? One example is Prophet. So if you guys know, Prophet is the forecasting algorithm used by Facebook, and they have actually publicized it last year. So we have taken that and we have made certain improvements to that particular algorithm. So these are the different machine learning and deep learning algorithm classes that you can select from, right? Again, these are just algorithm classes, and once you select a class, within a class there will be hundreds of different specific algorithms. We will be basically, testing all of that, right? And then you obviously have the classical methods, right? The time series forecasting, right? So we have the classical methods as well, and these are the simple, smoothing like techniques, right? That we are usually using, right? So you can make selections out of these as well. But remember, all of these are advanced options, or these are not default settings. So you don't have to do any of this, right? So default setting is we will basically look at all of these different things and we'll try to select the best one that suits your data, right? There are some other advanced configurations, right? COVID is a very, very good example, right? There was a massive disruption to so many businesses during this period, right? And if you look at demand or sales, you would see zeros, right, for a couple of months. Now, if we don't give that information to the system, right, system might sort of try to take that zeros and try to train a model, which is not the right thing, obviously, right? So we can actually configure some exception or exemption periods in the system itself, right? So basically, the system ignores some of these values, right? So these are some of the advanced options, but as I said, these are not part of the default settings. Now, I actually didn't make any changes there, so I'm going to just select it, and I'm just going to hit this train button. And you will see an animation, right? Which means this thing, we are training an algorithm to forecast cards in Bangalore. I think I'll have to move a little bit fast because I think we have about 15 minutes time left. So this training process will take about 3 to 5 minutes. This daily data, so it takes about 3 to 5 minutes. But as I said, things will happen parallelly. If I select everything and if I ask the system to train, what it'll do is it'll start training everything parallelly. So even though one training takes about 5 minutes, if you want to do 10, it won't take 50 minutes. It'll actually take about 15 to 20 minutes, right? Because it scales in the back end and lots of things happen parallel. Now, until this training happens, I have already trained one forecast, right? That's the cards for Ahmedabad, this one, right? So this is already trained. So I can see, so from the training process itself, I can look at some accuracies of my trained algorithm, right? This can be done in using the testing data set. And in the testing data set, I think those, if some of you might know, right? When we actually train algorithms, we break data into training and testing. Testing data is not used; it's kept aside, and we basically evaluate our algorithms based on the testing accuracies, right? So you can see testing KPIs here, right? For this forecast model, right? It says average daily accuracy, right, is 77.74, right? So So on daily level, when you look at the forecast against the actual value, and if we take the average, that is 77.74. If we look at the entire testing period, right? So the entire testing period could be, could be about in this example. Usually, it's broken into 80% versus 20%. So in this particular example, it's about 6 weeks of data. So if we look at this entire 6 weeks period, and if we compare the total actual value against the total forecasted value, then it's almost like 98% accurate. So those are the accuracies based on the testing results. Right. So I already have. So this model is, as I said, it's already trained, right? But I haven't got a forecast yet, right? All I have done is I have trained a model. So let me just talk a little bit about setting predictors, right? Now, this setting predictors is also an important step here because, right, because these are things that you can control, right? Because here we talked about things like digital spend, right? The mass media spend, right? The promotional spend, right? These are the things that you control, you plan in advance, you probably have even a budget for that, right? So if we tell the system, okay, this is how I'm going to spend my money, I'm going to get my forecast based on that, right? So my forecast will be much more accurate. The other advantage is whenever you change your plan, right? Whenever you change your budget, let's say you cut back on your spending, right? So you basically just update that number in the system, and the system will quickly give you an updated forecast, right? So this is the agility piece that I'm talking about, right? So let me just, I think we don't have too much time to go into too much details. So let me just set some values for these predictors. I think in our I think if anyone wants to know some details, we can we can do it in a follow-up session. I'll just set some values here, and I'll just quickly try to get it forecast. So now I have set my predictors. Now I'm ready to generate a forecast. So this is, I put a tick here, and I'm going to hit the forecast button. Right now, generating a forecast as well. So this is the forecast generation process. So this is the training process and the forecast generation process. I've just taken you through one forecast, right? So the Bangalore one, it's already trained now. So you can see the average daily accuracy and the overall accuracy. So you don't have to obviously do any of this one by one, right? You can do selections at a global level. You can set predictors at a global level, this step, right? So you can basically apply your predictors, right? Either at the individual level or at the global level. You can even input your predictors as an Excel file, right? And then it'll basically forecast based on that. So you can do all of that. So this is not a sequential process. You can just do hundreds of forecasts at once, right? Then it'll process parallelly, and we can easily do about 100 within an hour, right? So that is the speed at which we can do our forecasting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a different data set where all this training and forecasting is done, right? Right, and we'll look at some forecasts. Right? So let me just quickly switch to a different data set. So this is basically the same data set. Uh, um, it's just that I've done all my training, I've done all my forecasting for the 14 cities here, right? So I have forecast, so we can just look at the forecast, right? So let's look at the Ahmedabad forecast. Right. So this is a forecast. I actually had data until 4th of Feb, right? So what you see in the solid line is historical data. So I have my data till 4th of Feb, and after 4th of Feb, I have my forecast, which is the dotted line, and I have my forecast for a period of 60 days from 4th of Feb. So this is a forecast, right? So you can see this big spike in historical data. This is actually due to a large sale that they have done in the past, right? And that information is already captured in the system. So next time where they do that kind of sale, right? So that sale will be reflected in their marketing spend, will be reflected in their discounting. So this pattern is already in the system, right, as a learning. So next time when they do this sale, right, we expect the forecast to capture that this big spike as well, right? So once we have that information, you will have much better forecast which will capture things like this, right? That is how it becomes more accurate. So again, you can see the accuracy, the training accuracy for this data here. So so I have basically forecast for everything here. Right. I think probably the biggest question everyone would be asking is, right? So okay, I get my forecast. How accurate is my forecast, right? So I think in any forecasting system, right, we should try to answer this question very, very objectively, and that is what we are trying to do here. Now, this forecast, it starts from 5th of February 2021, right? Because I had my data until 4th of February 2021. So my forecast starts from 5th of February 2021, right? There's a functionality called append new data. So I have already done that. So we have appended data till the end of February. So from the 5th of February, I have my forecast. But after getting my forecast, I have appended real data until the end of the February. So which means from 5th February to the 28th February, I have a forecast as well as I have an actual value, right? So which means I can basically validate my forecast. Look how accurate my forecasting has been. So that is this. I'm just going to click here. Right. So for each day during that period, see, it starts. So sorry, I think the font is a little bit small. I'll try to make it a little bit bigger. So as I said, my comparison starts from 5th of Feb, right? Um, and it will go until the end of the Feb, right? To 28. So for each day during this period, I have my forecast as well as the actual value, right? And I can compare. There are two types of comparisons that one can do. So we have done both types of comparisons. I will not go into details into these different types of comparisons because it will take some time. But for each day, right, you can see the levels of accuracy between the forecast and the actual value, right? So I'll just, in the interest of time, I'll just stop there. So you can even generate a report on these accuracies, because we are looking at 15 cities. So we can generate an accuracy report based on this as well, right? So I think in the interest of time, I think let's quickly move to a summarization layer. We can think of it as a dashboard layer as well. Let me just move there. Right. So this will actually provide you a high-level summary of our forecast, right? So let me just, so the data set is already selected. Let me just select a city, right? Let's select, let's say, Delhi. So what you see in blue is the historical period. What you see in yellow is your forecast. And for this period, I think you can see there's a period in between. There are blue lines as well as the yellow lines. That's because we appended some data for validation period. So this is the 5th of February till the end of the February, where we have the actual values as well as the forecasted values during this period. So that's why you see both here. So once we generate a forecast, right, there are a few things that we would like to do, right? So here, what you can see is, right, we are comparing the forecasted period against the same period last year, right? So our forecast period is from February, right? So we are comparing the forecasted February against the February of 2020. So and we can quickly see, right, where my demand is heading, right, based on the forecast, right? So we can see there's a degrowth compared to the last year based on the forecast, right? So that's this, right? So if you look at the day that you had the highest demand during this forecasting period and compare it with the day with the highest demand of the previous period, that's the last year period, again it's a degrowth, right? So you can see things like this, right? And of course this can be customizable, depending on the business, depending on what the KPIs that you usually track, right? This layer can be customized, but I just wanted to give an idea about this layer. What you see here is again some accuracy validations, right? Because we said that we have appended some data from February. So from this dashboard layer itself, you can see how accurate my forecasting has been, right? So that is this information, right? So the average accuracy for this period, right? Average accuracy is you have the actual and the forecasted value for each day, and for each day you calculate the accuracy for this period, and then you can get an average. Aggregate accuracy is you aggregate the forecast and aggregate the actuals and then calculate the difference, right? So we have the average accuracies, aggregated accuracies, minimum accuracies, so on and so forth, right? Let me just select everything. I think I'll be wrapping up in another couple of minutes as the last thing that we are going to do. Let me just select everything. So these KPIs are now this is the total. What you see here is the total actual. This is the total forecast, right? And this is the total growth. Again, it's even at an aggregated level, it's a it's a degrowth here, Um, and you can see, you can actually configure some alerts, right? So we have configured some alerts here. So first alert is a growth signal, right? So basically, out of the 14 cities, right, only one city is signaling a growth, right? So if we select that, it turns out to be Pune, right? So I'm just selecting. Yeah, it takes. I think it takes a little bit time to load. So we have these growth alerts, and we have these accuracy alerts as well. So if there are out of these 14, right, if certain cities are not, the forecasting accuracy is low, right, those things will be get alerted here. So the idea is, just by looking at this screen, let's say you have 100 forecasts or 500 forecasts, right? You will quickly be able to identify, right, what are the growth forecasts, right? What are the degrowth forecasts? What are the forecasts with low accuracy? So you can basically take action. You can recalibrate those forecasts, right? So you can quickly take those decisions uh, based on uh, based on the dashboard itself. So I think that's what we basically wanted to present within this webinar, right? So this is basically Pune results, right? Because right, so you can actually see a growth here of 15.1. Um, and I think let me just wrap up, and maybe if there are any questions, I'll try to answer those questions during the we have, I think, 7 minutes left. Thanks everyone. Really appreciate you being part of this webinar.
Thank you, Sankar. If anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to take them now. Sankar, we actually have one question from Johan. The question is, can this be integrated with SAP?
Yeah, can I? Yeah, what's the question again, Asani?
Can this be? Sorry, Sankar, can you hear me? Can this be integrated with SAP?
Okay, can it be integrated with SAP? So SAP is integrated with your data warehouse, right? Um, so if the data is coming from your data warehouse, we can integrate with your data warehouse to get that information. So we can actually integrate with the source of your data, right? But if you keep uh, data within SAP itself, I think without if unless SAP provides APIs, we can't integrate. So I actually don't know if you're using SAP HANA or something. I don't know if they have open APIs. If they have open APIs, we can do that. But if SAP is running on top of your data warehouse, then it's a simple integration where we can just integrate with your data warehouse. Johan, I don't know if I answered your question or all of you.
Sorry, sorry about the interruption, folks. Shankar Mohan says SAP HANA. So I suppose that would have answered the question. We also have another question from Merangi. What are inputs the system taken for forecast?
Right. So the inputs are not fixed. Inputs can depend. It totally depends on the problem that we are solving, right? So I think in this demand forecasting use case, right? We took marketing spend, right? Things like that, discounts, right? As inputs. But depending on the problem, right? So if you are forecasting, let's say. Uh, let's say number of let's say you're forecasting demand for a ride sharing company, let's say a random example, right? So then an input like weather, right? What is the weather forecast for tomorrow, right? Something like that can have a massive impact for your forecast. So it depends on the problem, but technically the system can take any. So the simple answer is it can take any input. But what are the relevant inputs? That depends on the problem, right? So that's a problem specific thing. But we can take any input to the system.
We have two more questions. Is it real-time data transferring, and can we customize the parameters?
Yeah, I think what you meant by the parameters is again the inputs. So it's totally customized. So it depends on what you think can influence the forecast. So yeah, you can basically, it's totally customizable. Whatever you think can be inputted as a predictor. What was the first part of the question?
Is it real-time data transferring?
Right. So there are two options for data transformation. The basic option is you can just drag and drop your Excel file or the flat file where you have your data in, and you can just generate a forecast. So that's the basic kind of forecasting. If your forecasting is not very high frequency, right? So what I mean by high frequency is at least once a day, right? So unless you don't want to reforecast at least once a day, right? Or unless you have, like, let's say 5,000 forecasts, right? You can actually move, the simplest way is, just drag and drop your data into the system using the GUI, and you get your forecast. But if your forecasting is much more larger scale than that, right? Say, above 1,000 forecasts, which you need to do on daily basis, or which you need to update on daily basis, then we have to integrate it with this. Our system needs to be integrated with your data source, right? So this system is on Microsoft Azure and using Microsoft Azure Data Lake, right, and Data Factory. We can pretty much connect to any kind of database and pull that data. So we have customers who have real-time integrations, as well as customers who sort of input data manually using the GUI itself.
Shankar, we have one more question. The dashboard is a great feature. Is it possible for you to customize a dashboard with specific user requirements?
Yeah, the simple answer to that question is absolutely yes. Dashboard layer, it's a totally customizable layer. What we have is just a default dashboard, and it can be totally customized for your specific things that you like to see.
All right, I think that's it for today. If you all have any more questions, we can continue to answer them. In the meantime, I'd like to remind everybody of the special program that we're introducing today, the BYOD program. We'd like to invite all our attendees to schedule a meeting with one of our data scientists and bring your own data and get the required assistance you need to prepare the data and also get the assistance you need to use the forecast guide system. It's an open invitation for all our attendees, exclusively for you, for everyone who's attending the webinar today. I will be sharing the slides with all of you all post the webinar, and the link will be included in the slide deck. We also have one more question. Are there any automotive organizations using this system, spare parts?
Not right now. We are talking to the largest company in the world, based in India. So let's see what happens there. Not right now.
Are there any more questions? We can take in any more questions if anyone has any. All right, I think that's it. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining the webinar. Like I mentioned earlier, I'll be sharing the slides along with the link to the BYOD meeting schedule. Please feel free to schedule a meeting with any one of our data scientists to get the required access and assistance you need.
That's it, right?